If you're like me, you're probably quite poor. You have no funds in your bank account because you spend all of it on PC hardware. So what should you do? Should you buy cheaper hardware? Or should you buy used like I did today? Well, today I'm picking up a PC from Northbridge, which is going to be an awesome gaming PC once I fix it up and clean it up because it's pretty dirty. So let's go pick it up. Looks like there's a bit of a storm coming and doesn't really fit in the other size bag. So we'll see how we go. Well, thank God my mum picked me up because it's currently starting to rain. I don't know if you can see that on the windshield. So it started to rain a fair bit, so I just waited out the rain.
The next day.
Alright, so I'm now back home and we've got the PC here. And yeah, it looks pretty good. Pretty good condition overall, not too many scratches. There are some labels that need to come off. There's some residue left on there that also needs to come off. And there's a little bit of dust caked up just there. If my camera would focus, there's a little bit of dust. So let's see what's inside and see what we get. I love these panels, they're nice and easy to take off. Oh, that's dusty. Ew.
Oi Zach, if you're watching, it's filthier than you, mate. Take a shower.
That is filthy. I mean, it's not that bad. It could be way worse, but I don't even want to touch it, but oh. That's meant to be black, not grey. Yeah, that's really gross. Anyway, under there we've got a Xeon CPU processor. I looked it up, it was equivalent to a i7 6700, exactly identically. 4 GHz boost, 4 cores, 8 threads. So that's good that it has hyper-threading. This is a NVIDIA Quadro M2000, so actually quite a sought after GPU, especially for like rendering and video editing, I think. So I'm actually going to sell that and then switch it out, but I'll get to that later. We actually have 32 gigs of RAM, which is really good. 32 gigs is more than enough that we'll need, and it's more than enough to power this i7 6700 equivalent. Now, as for the power supply, this is where we have a little bit of an issue, in that, as you can see, it's 80 plus bronze, but there's no rating unless you read really up there in fine print. Maximum output of 290 watts it says up there, so not the best, and especially considering we don't have a PCIe 8 pin, that's going to be quite challenging when it comes to picking out our graphics card. So what do I do first? Honestly, I think I'm going to take out all of this crap. We also have a 256 gig SSD, which is quite nice because it means we don't have to change out our storage. So I think I'm honestly just going to disassemble the whole thing and just clean it out from there. I'm going to take out all this plastic that's extra because we don't really need it and it just blocks airflow. So let's get to cleaning, shall we? Alright, so the plan for cleaning this up is just to use this electric blower and then go over it with a cloth before I take it apart with my screwdriver. So I might need to hold my breath for this. Now the important thing is that you don't let these things spin, these fans, otherwise it can overload the motor and kind of produce electricity, but not in the way you want it to. But this dust just keeps coming out, like it just doesn't stop. Like holy, like I'm gonna have to dust my whole lens down as well, and then also under the CPU fan. Alright, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull out all these excess parts that I don't need, just so I can make more room and then take everything out and then rebuild it. Now Dell have an awesome team of engineers, but sometimes they just do too much. Like they just over-engineer. Like look how much that opened up the system, just taking out that little tray that holds the GPU in more. Next up I'm going to take out the GPU. So you just pull it out of the slot and there's our little Quadro card. Cool, that's our Quadro card. I'm just going to leave that out here. You can really see the dust is just caked on there. Alright, now I'm just going to take the CPU cooler off and then I might just do the rest off camera. Alright, that is some pretty dry thermal paste. If you can even call it thermal paste. So I'm just going to wipe it down, do some cable management, and then I'll see you on the other side. Alright, I don't know how much you can hear me right now because it's a bit windy, but I've cleaned up all the cables inside, wiped off the thermal paste, so let's reinstall the GPU, CPU cooler and fan, and then let's load up some video games and try those out. I think that looks a lot better compared to what it was before. Here's before, and here's after. Alright, you're literally not going to believe me when I say this, but it just keeps getting better. So, we're in Task Manager, I'm checking everything out. I check the disk, and 1TB SSD? So the listing only said 256 gig SSD, and I thought it was going to be a pretty crap one. But it's from Samsung as well. So it's a Samsung 1TB SSD, and I got this whole PC for $100. Now that 1TB SSD is really handy, especially with today's games. They take up a lot of storage, so 1TB is more than appreciated.
Starting off with Fortnite at 1080p performance with low textures and far view distance, we're getting around 120 FPS on average. For this game you should pretty much ignore the 1% lows because on any system they're quite a mess, but considering I haven't invested more than 100 Australian dollars into this system, 120 FPS is quite strong for this Quadro graphics card in the system. Moving on to Rainbow Six Siege at the lowest settings possible at 1080p, our FPS is considerably lower, averaging 90 FPS, but it's still well above the industry standard 60. Also, Siege is one of those games where high settings don't really look all that much better than low, so it's a great experience here. Then to stress the CPU, we have Valorant at 1080p low, which gives us an average of 180 FPS. What's also great is the fact that our 1% lows are at 120, which is well above what we were getting in Fortnite. Granted, it is an easier game to run, but you can still have plenty of fun on this machine, and arguably it is an esports ready machine. But what if we upgraded the GPU?
So the 1650 arrived, and it only really took like 3 days because the guy was in Liverpool, which isn't far from Sydney, so he shipped that over, and it's here now. So let's open up this package and see if there's actually a 1650 inside. Alright, there is our GTX 1650. And it's in great condition. Wow, that's marvelous. It's basically spotless, like there's not a sign of dust really. Even looking beneath the fan blades I can't even see any. There's absolutely no rust, like there's dust on the top obviously. There's no rust, there's no oxidation, that is a well kept card. So let's chuck this in the system and see how it performs. Alright, it's time to freaking replace this GPU. So let's take that side panel off. Freaking unlatch it. Please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me. Oh, bastard. Alright, I'll just unscrew the screw. Here's our GPU. Does run pretty well in games, to be honest. All things considered, considering it's a Quadro. But our 1650 should fit nice and easily in the system and should perform a fair bit better. And now I can slot my GPU in. So in pops the 1650. I think that overall looks pretty good and it goes pretty well with the system in my opinion. Pretty nice and easy design. So now let's hop back in our games and see what performance improvement we got.
Back in Fortnite at 1080p performance mode, we were able to lift the textures from low to epic, and enjoy a nice frame rate boost to around 160 FPS on average. Prior to the upgrade, we only averaged around 120, so an extra 40 FPS is more than welcome. We're also CPU bound in this scenario as our GPU isn't even maxing out, so you could play in DirectX 12 mode and up the visuals even more for a better visual experience, and you wouldn't experience many lower frame rates. In Siege, we changed our low preset to the high preset, and also got a sizable performance increase from 90 FPS to 115 FPS, which equates to around a 27% performance uplift. You could potentially lower the graphics a tad bit if you wanted some more performance, but you're probably better off running at high settings as compared to low.
If you asked me to be any happier about that PC sitting over there, I don't think you honestly could make me. So how much did it all cost in total? Well, I bought the system for $100, and then I bought a power cable for $12 because it didn't come with one, unfortunately, but that's alright. And then I bought the GTX 1650 for $110 including shipping, which brings our total all the way up to $222. Now, the funny thing about that is now that I've got the Quadro, is I can sell that off for an easy $50 on eBay using an eBay fee calculator. I'll sell it later because it's going to take a while to sell, but it will sell for $50 profit. So then if we subtract that from 222, that brings our total cost to $172. Australian dollars. Let me compare that to US dollars for my American friends is 108 US dollars at the time of filming. It's quite extraordinary what you can get for a Benjamin. So I'll probably end up selling this PC to a friend for around 200, which will give me about, I don't know, $30 profit. I don't really care that much because he just wants a PC. And if he isn't interested, then I'll just sell it on eBay or Marketplace for around $300, which in my eyes is a nice hefty profit of $120. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, and also share this video with someone and comment down below what your favorite part of this video was. As always, I'm TechBiz and I'm out. Check out this video as well.